Welcome to the headquarters of the Missouri National Guard and the offices of Major General Steve Danner. I'm Mike Roberts, and on this edition of MNG TV, wounded warriors get away from it all for a day in the country.
It's nice to get a little fresh air and no sirens and all the honking. It's nice.
A Missouri Guard unit specializing in weapons of mass destruction has fans breathing easier at major sporting events.
So we're going to be manning 2 gates, and then also we're going to have a team that is ready to make entry into the stadium in the event of an incident, with WMD in nature.
You'll meet Specialist Blake Poole, who's taking Army combatives to a whole new level.
He makes his professional debut. He fights out of Kansas City, Missouri. Introducing Blake Poole.
And finally, 14 Missouri Guardsmen, all Purple Heart recipients from the same battle, reunite to tell their story.
Our first day of being on duty was the day we got attacked.
Join me as we take an inside look at the Missouri National Guard and follow them across the state, the United States, around the world, and into the war zone, Afghanistan. It spawned a president, a Medal of Honor recipient, taught one man to fly to new heights, and enlisted a woman who fought side by side with her husband, a private who became a 2-star general, and a sergeant who became a 4-star. Missouri's Home Guard is unlike any of the other states in the Union. During the Civil War, it fought on both sides. And since then, U.S. presidents have relied on Missouri Guardsmen to fight its wars. While back in Missouri, governors have also relied on these Guardsmen to fight the effects of Mother Nature. Being in the middle of the country, Missourians get hit with just about every kind of natural disaster there is. Floods, tornadoes, blizzards, and quite possibly a repeat of the 1811 New Madrid earthquake. So powerful, it caused the mighty Mississippi to flow backwards. Join me as we take an inside look at the Missouri National Guard. A Missouri Guard unit specializing in weapons of mass destruction has fans breathing easy at major sporting events.
We have to go up on the top level and walk.
Members of the Missouri National Guard assisted in providing a safe and secure environment at the 2013 World Series games held in St. Louis, Missouri. The 7th Weapons of Mass Destruction Civil Support Team collaborated with local, state, and federal agencies to verify the absence of hazardous material at Busch Stadium. 5 teams comprised of National Guard, Department of Energy, and other agencies inspected each section of the stadium.
Right now we're just
Sergeant First Class Juan Gallego is working his 3rd World Series. His experience and the experience of many team members helped to prepare the CST for any circumstance.
We always have to stand on alert because we are the first ones that they're going to call in case of a nuclear, biological, radiological incident that's going to happen in the state of Missouri.
Sergeant Gallego also says it is a great honor to support Major League Baseball and the citizens and visitors of Missouri. For the Missouri National Guard, I'm Army Sergeant Annika Jankowski.
The 139th Airlift Wing is located in St. Joseph, Missouri. We go there next to see how they prepare for an active shooter scenario.
That's all! Go. Nothing's working.
They handled it really well. It's almost second nature to them to keep pressing on. They heard the sound of the gunfire as I watched from down the corridor, and they proceeded on target, on key. They didn't detract from them. You could see that their mind was in the right place.
Got one.
It's something we're trying to incorporate into our training plan to become more familiar. We're getting better equipment, we're getting better lesson plans, we're getting outside coordination with other agencies and tailoring our support to theirs, to what they can provide us. It is a newer tactic. We've always trained on building entry, aggressive persons, but this is new in the fact that you're probably talking about that threat coming from inside the installation and not from outside the wire. That key tactical movement that you would develop within your team. Unfortunately, when you're talking about a situation like this, it's whoever's on hand, whoever's readily available is going to respond. There is no forming up, there is no prep work that goes into this. So by training with the dynamic surprise, the other outside elements, not knowing your enemy, could be plainclothes, it could be military uniform, that's where just having the continued training from all the squads and that combined effort with the civilian law enforcement agencies would put us in the right mindset to be effective in this type of scenario.
Hopefully they'll never need that training. On a lighter note, we head down the hill from the state headquarters in Jefferson City to the Patriot Center, where Missouri National Guardsmen celebrate Halloween with the local community kids, and Colby Powell takes a look.
The Missouri National Guard Family and Warrior Support Program held their annual Halloween celebration to reach out and share some joy with the children of the community. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Anderson, Chief of Family and Warrior Support, says this event is a good way to show a different side of the Missouri National Guard.
It kind of does two things for us. One, it allows kids in the daycares, the young kids, to see a different side of the National Guard instead of just soldiers out all the time. And then it also allows our staff kind of a little bit of a release because we deal with a lot of difficult things from a day-to-day basis.
Held in the Patriot Center at the Missouri National Guard headquarters, children who attend are treated to a unique theme every year, with support program staff dressed up in full costume. This year, the theme was Star Wars. Chaplain Colonel Gary Gilmore explains.
We have enough people down here that we've gone through all the main characters, and we have some not so main characters that we're trying to imitate, but we have a lot of fun with that, and our folks really get into the dress up and just making it a very special day.
We asked a few of the children why people dressed up for Halloween.
Because it's fun. Ninjas. I like them because they're fun. It's fun. Because they're spooky. Go trick-or-treating. Look at him. Get candy.
With candy handed out as they walk through the specially decorated building, the children also leave with something else, a fun and memorable experience.
Smile with your pretty teeth. Say cheese.
Missouri Guardsmen serve a dual mission, both at home and overseas. We start with this report from Afghanistan from Alexis Ramos.
A National Guard soldier assigned to the Provincial Reconstruction Team in Forward Operating Base Finley Shields teaches blacksmithing techniques to a local Afghan. The goal is for one day the student to become the teacher.
This is a blacksmith training for the Shishimba Research Center's Blacksmith School. They have sponsored the local blacksmith school, and Gafour behind me is going to be the master trainer, and he's coming through our blacksmith school here to verify his qualifications to teach anyone interested in blacksmithing skills.
Some of the lessons the student will pass on to others include shaping, forging, welding, and bending. These basic techniques will help improve the life of the local community.
This program is made for men and brothers who are jobless and doing nothing so they can learn something. With these techniques, then it will benefit the beginners so they can find jobs.
Mastering the basic techniques gives the Afghan student the capacity to build other projects in the future. U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Alexis Ramos, Forward Operating Base Finley Shields, Afghanistan.
Yet another step in the road to reconstruction in Afghanistan. Despite the rigors of deployment, some Missouri aviators from Whiteman Air Force Base find time to raise funds for a good cause. Hillary Browning has more.
You can do online at your own convenience, or you can do a paper pledge card.
Far from home and working around the clock, soldiers from Task Force Reaper have a lot on their minds. But they still set aside time to raise money for their favorite charities through the combined federal campaign.
Today we're doing the Task Force Reaper Challenge. It was 250 push-ups and a buddy carry to a sandbag carry and water jug carry, then a run to a tire flip, and then a gator pull.
6 teams of 3 raced against the clock. Most of them are all male teams, but one is a little different.
Today, during the Task Force Reaper Challenge, I ended up being the only female in the competition. When I saw the first 2 rounds go through, I was nervous. I was extremely nervous, and I was really afraid that I was going to fail Instead, I maxed more than I anticipated.
In the end, Sergeant Lovely and his team finished first.
Great, we did a great job. Our team time was 8 minutes and 14 seconds. I'd say the most fun part was winning. That was pretty nice.
Task Force Reaper raised over $2,000 to donate to the charities of their choice.
See the combined federal campaign. I know it is extremely important every year, and I appreciate the teamwork that went into this event. It is truly part of the military mindset, helping others in need. That's what we do. We serve others that are less fortunate. So thank you very much.
Petty Officer Hillary Browning, Camp Pratt, Afghanistan.
Guys. All right, now back to work.
Now, Missouri's 70th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment goes through some tough training to prepare for its deployment to Afghanistan. Brittany Crocker has details.
The 70th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment practiced combat embedment with the 1138th Military Police as part of their deployment training. Embed training allows public affairs soldiers to practice balancing their duties as soldiers and reporters.
You're trying to get footage, but you're also trying to be a soldier first. We followed them around with cameras, and we pulled security when we needed to, and we did everything they did with the camera. I think the greatest value out of all this is all the cross-training.
During the exercise, the combat correspondents and journalists helped set up security checkpoints, joined military boys, and reacted to ambushes and improvised explosive devices.
Somebody who is not MP qualified, but they have their specific mission. They need to know how MPs operate, so knowing each other's jobs is very important, and it's crucial to the survivability of our armed forces.
The soldiers will continue to prepare for their deployment to Afghanistan with language and cultural training and field exercises. Reporting for the Missouri National Guard, I'm Corporal Brittany Crocker.
With the Southeastern Conference East Division Championship on the line, the Missouri Tigers hosted the Texas A&M Aggies for the last regular season football game on November 30th, 2013. This was also a special night for the seniors, as they got a chance to step foot on the field for the last game of their college career. The honorary guest was four-star General Frank Grass.
Nice to see you, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Wouldn't miss it, wouldn't miss it.
General Grass serves as the 27th Chief of the National Guard Bureau
they have there.
and is a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. In this capacity, he serves as a military advisor to the President, Secretary of Defense, National Security Council, and is the Department of Defense's official channel of communication to the governors and state adjutants generals in all matters pertaining to the National Guard. He is responsible for ensuring that more than 470,000 Army and Air National Guard personnel are accessible, capable, and ready to protect the homeland and provide combat resources to the Army and Air Force. He started his career in the Missouri National Guard, rising to the rank of Buck Sergeant before becoming an officer. The University of Missouri honored General Grass with a signed Tigers jersey, showing their appreciation for his distinguished military service over the past 4 decades. His leadership and his devotion to the University of Missouri, the state of Missouri, and our nation.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
General Grass also took time out of his busy schedule to visit with the university's ROTC cadets as they man Little Joe, the cannon that fires when Mizzou scores a touchdown. The general and his wife spend most of their time in Washington, D.C., and whenever they can, enjoy traveling back to Missouri to visit their 2 daughters and grandchildren. Michael Sandnob, Missouri National Guard, Public Affairs Office. Sometimes you just want to get away from it all. Somewhere new, somewhere peaceful. Wounded warriors of the Missouri National Guard are here enjoying a day in the country, doing just that. These wounded warriors are dealing with life-changing challenges and facing them each and every day.
It has changed. I do physical therapy and do that kind of stuff, but I can't run like I used to. But again, I thank God every day. I'm mobile, I'm up and I'm walking around.
Sergeant Ronnie Bishop drove nearly 2.5 hours from Kansas City to be here.
It's nice to get a little fresh air and, no sirens and all the honking. It's nice.
That's exactly what they found at the ranch of their host, the state's retired Command Sergeant Major James Schulte and his wife, Janelle. Sergeant Timothy Glore of Farmington, Missouri, served 2 tours in Iraq.
Something like this, just being out in the open, out in the wilderness, and just be yourself and just relax, take a deep breath.
Now, like your team, too.
Yes, sir.
Number 1 in the SEC.
Yes, sir.
What can we say?
Major General Steve Danner, the Missouri National Guard Adjutant General, made a point to stop by and check on his guardsmen.
I'm getting med-boarded first.
Events like this where the higher-ups come out and mingle with us lets us know that they care.
Sil Wiles Bernier works closely with the wounded warriors, tracking their progress.
Everything depends on the leadership. If you have a leadership team that cares from the heart, not caring about the numbers or what's going to look good, then you have an effective team.
That relationship with the chain of command allows her to make things happen.
Anytime I have an issue, get on the phone, call Miss Wiles, and she rattles enough cages to make it happen.
The Missouri National Guard is setting the standard on how Wounded Warrior program is helping their own. Other programs in Fort Riley, Fort Knox, Utah, and Illinois are reaching out to Mrs. Wiles, asking for her secret.
Going to the game? How are you going?
Michael Sanop, Missouri National Guard, Public Affairs Office.
We need this one.
Meet Specialist Blake Poole. He's a professional-level mixed martial arts fighter, a man who credits the Missouri National Guard for turning his life around and allowing him to pursue his dream of professional-level MMA.
Man, growing up, it was rough. I could honestly say if I wouldn't have joined the National Guard, there's no telling where I'd be at.
Poole's best friend from the age of 2, a man who was practically his brother, met a tragic end following a path that could have been Poole's own.
Matter of fact, I lost one of my best friends, Christmas Eve. He got shot. He got shot and killed over drugs, actually. It easily could have been me.
Poole knew that he had to do something different. His friend suggested joining the Army. So, at the age of 17, Poole enlisted into the Missouri National Guard.
It took a lot of courage, which going through, basic training and AIT, the way the drill sergeants pushed me, I'd never been pushed that hard, not even in martial arts.
During those months away from the streets, he learned Army values, honor, perseverance, and self-confidence. He applied them to his life wholeheartedly.
After boot camp and AIT, I was a different person. More, more confident, stronger-willed, definitely.
We're brothers in arms, We've been in the Army. We joined the SAC same time, same RSP unit. Went to basic training and AIT, not in the same place, but in the same time. And yeah, we started MMA at the same time together. We've both been on the same journey, same path. Specialist
Zach Hubbard, also an MMA fighter, serves in the same unit as Poole.
I like it to let people know the fact that soldiers are tough, There's not a whole lot of prominent soldier fighters out there. I think me and Blake are honestly at the front lines of that.
Soldier fighters, as Hubbard puts it, are those who go above and beyond their original training to excel in hand-to-hand fighting.
Nice!
Both Hubbard and Poole went into MMA to hone their skills.
That's just how much more harder I have to push myself. I have to stay that much more disciplined because I'm not always around disciplined people. So it is very challenging, but at the same time, I love doing what I do. I've learned what true humbleness is. I've learned what not to do, what not to be like. I've learned perseverance.
So what is it he does? He trains. And what does he train for?
Defending myself. I'm more confident in almost every aspect of my life just from training this art form.
And across the cage, his opponent tonight fighting out of the blue
Poole
corner.
finally had a chance to put his training to use in the Bellator Mixed Martial Arts Tournament.
He makes his professional debut. He fights out of Kansas City, Missouri. Introducing Blake Poole.
You get 2 chances and you're out. Okay, my first fight, I lost. My very first fight. Automatically, right then, loser bracket, a lot of people, that would be demoralizing too. A lot of people would be like, oh man, it sucks. They would feel worse inside, but all I did was push me harder, made me want it even more.
But he applied what he had learned in basic training, the resilience and the perseverance that gave him the will to fight on.
People thought it was over at that time. No, I never quit, man. That's the one thing. I've never been tapped out in over 25 fights.
He advanced to the final round and only lost by decision. He also learned about honor and applied it here as well. He says it was a clean fight, and because it was Poole's premier fight, he impressed a lot of people, including
the owner of Bellator contacted my promoter and was like, hey, I want to meet Blake. Send Blake to me. I want to shake his hand personally to tell him that was one hell of a fight, man.
The crowd doesn't love it.
This encouraged Poole to continue, to train harder than ever before, to overcome his own limitations, and with the support of his National Guard brothers, drives on.
I had a good 50, 60 soldiers there from my company, from my battalion, actually. That was awesome. Drove, 3.5 hours to come watch me fight, to watch a 15 minutes.
With his brothers at arms and his family backing him, he fights more for them than for himself. But with all of that support, one person still stands out.
Actually, one of my heroes is my stepfather. His name's William Sterling. Probably one of the most humble, hardest working men I've ever seen in my life. His perception on life is beautiful.
Inside like it, get him. 10 seconds.
He inspired him to be better, to be the man he is today. Yet he knows he can be more and tries hard to rise up to that level.
Yes, pound him out. To be honest, that's pretty much my whole goal in life. Is to make my mother and my father proud, to reach their expectations.
All of this, he claims, is only possible through the Missouri National Guard.
I wanted more than that. And, the National Guard was an escape. I didn't know what to expect, but I have no regrets at all.
Our first day of being on duty was the day we got attacked.
And everybody got their gear on. I was the first one to go out the back door, and I was like, holy cow. And then we saw the insurgents pour around the corners and, fought for a little while. And most of these people had never deployed before. So this was their first deployment in their first month.
How many is the first deployment? Wow.
So these bunch of kids, it was the bravest thing I ever saw.
I told Saunders and Huffman to get out of there because Huffman had a grenade strapped on his leg. He had a bullet wound to the face, and they refused and wanted to stay in the fight. One guy hid behind us like a small AC unit and a B hut, and he was wearing a friendly uniform, so I didn't shoot right away until he pointed his AK at me and started shooting at me. Moved out of the way at the last second, came back around the corner, and then I shot him, and he never came back up.
From that moment on, it was just a constant fight back and forth. I don't remember how I got injured, but they told me what happened. Sergeant O'Donnell was right behind me in the doorway, and he said I yelled grenade once and nothing happened. Well, the grenades they were throwing, they weren't very experienced because they taped the pins to their vest with electrician's tape. And it was really hot out. So the tape melted, and when they pulled the grenade off, the pin came off with it. So half of the grenades they threw didn't go off, they still had the pins in them. So he said I yelled grenade again, and they started pulling me back through the doorway, and it went off, and it knocked me out. Took shrapnel wounds and dislocated my shoulder and a couple of various other injuries.
Somebody kept calling me. I did not answer because, every time I answer the phone, it's like somebody's trying to sell me something.
The doc came over to me and said, hey, give me your cell phone. And I said, I gotta call my wife. And he's like, okay, you got 3 minutes. And I called her.
I was at my work. He calls me and he was like, I'm injured. And I was like, so that's what the call been about. The phone been ringing off the hook from midnight. And I was like, did you get shot, blown up this time, or what?
I told her I'm okay, I'm okay. I just took a little shrapnel and got blown up, got knocked out for just a little bit, but they're treating me fine.
When you're married to a person and he tells you everything, when he's lying.
So, well, there was silence for a little bit, and then there was the caring kicked in, the love. She's a very loving person.
Like I said, if the insurgents would have gotten past us, we had a lot of civilians on our file. And if they would have gotten past us, their only job was to create destruction. Missouri National Guard stopped them there.
That's going to do it for this edition of MNG TV, an inside look at the Missouri National Guard. We'll see you next time.